If you're thinking about selling your home for sale by owner, you might be watching this video because you're frustrated that it hasn't worked out for you quite yet and are wondering what you can change in your strategy to get the better results that you're looking for. So there are two basic areas that I'm going to be covering in this video. One is whether or not it makes sense to use a real estate agent in your situation, and the other is what you can do on your own as an individual to try to get better results without using a realtor. For some people, they do want to stick with the DIY method, and that's totally fine. I've done it myself with mixed results, and I'm happy to share from my successes and failures in that regard. And then when it comes to using a real estate agent, I'll point out when and how that might be beneficial. So the first thing that you need to do when you're considering selling your home is identify the tasks that need to be done. Number one is typically the preparation of your home. This may take days, weeks, or months, depending on the condition of your home and what you're trying to do to get it ready to sell. So this is a place where you might have an eye for it yourself. But if you're not a carpenter, you're not an interior designer, you're not in the real estate industry where you see a lot of homes, you might not have a practiced eye in terms of what range of conditions different buyers are expecting to see. This is one of the areas where I think people have the most blindness about what's happening. For example, I have a client right now who wants to buy a property in Edmonds. They're actually under contract to buy a property in Edmonds, but they're trying to sell their house in South Carolina. And they've had 30 people come through the property and no one has made an offer. Everyone has told them their price is $100,000 too high. And if they want to get that high price, they need to remodel the bathrooms. So stubbornly, 30 people later, they're still getting the same feedback. They have not made a significant price change. They have not remodeled the bathrooms upstairs. So for that reason, chances are the home will continue to sit. When you have a real estate agent who can give you this type of feedback, it certainly helps, but you as the property owner have to ultimately make the decision on how you're going to respond to the data and feedback that you're getting from your agent. If you want to keep doing what you're doing and it hasn't worked, that's the definition of insanity, but you can try. And if you ask friends and family, neighbors and relatives, they'll probably get what these people got, which is your home is beautiful. It will sell so quickly. You're going to get an amazing offer. No problem, no problem. And then you have a lot of ego wrapped up in the situation because everybody told you your home was great and it was going to sell for a large amount of money. When it doesn't, you feel stuck because you don't want to look bad in front of your peers. You don't want to admit to yourself that maybe the home is overpriced or the condition does not match the pricing that you're asking. So figuring out how to handle the preparation, which repairs will have the best return on investment for you, which repairs you should skip because you will lose money on them, and then what you need to do to get the home show ready is really an important conversation to have with someone who's experienced in the field. The next thing that you need to do is prepare the marketing materials for the property. So this includes things like your professional videos, which you can get fairly easily, but you also will want to have a professional video of the property done, potentially including some drone footage. I like to do a 3D walkthrough so people can get a sense of what the space is like, especially if they're relocating from out of the area. And in addition, you need to get things like a map of the layout, sort of a blueprint of the home if you have one, or you can have it made to show buyers what the layout is of the property. So that's actually one of buyers' top 5 most requested tools is that blueprint. It's definitely something that you should be putting together in your marketing package for the home. Once you have all of your marketing together, what's going to happen in terms of getting it distributed to people? How are people going to see your photos, your videos, your blueprints, your drone shots? Where is that all coming together? For the most part, for all real estate agents, we have a database called the Multiple Listing Service that distributes it to hundreds of different websites where all sorts of different people are subscribed to get updates. And most importantly, it distributes it to the Northwest MLS, which is where real estate agents go to get updates. And real estate agents work with most buyers because buyers want representation. They want help with negotiating. They want help with the paperwork. So a lot of buyers use real estate agents. Real estate agents look on the MLS. However, in addition, sometimes people get tired of browsing on the MLS. It can be frustrating if they haven't found their perfect home. So you may want to consider distributing that information on other social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Google, YouTube, and not just posting it where your mom who loves your cat videos and your kid pictures will see it, but actually distributing it out through paid advertisements so that it reaches a broader field of people. This is exactly what we do in our marketing strategy, in addition to sending postcards, door knocking, mailing, communicating with likely movers, communicating with our database of previous buyer leads, and networking with other real estate agents. So while it may not look like your realtor is doing a lot for your property, chances are they are plugging into systems that they already have in place, that they are already paying for, so that they can, with a click of a button and a writing of a check, get your property in front of a lot of different people. If you don't have these marketing networks already established, you're going to need to put in the legwork in order to make that happen. Now, I want to point out here one of the concerns that many for sale by owner people have, which is about the cost of a real estate agent. It can feel expensive to invest in having a real estate agent help you because it's true, you do pay money for it. But, to some extent, real estate agents are the biggest bargain out there. Most auctioneers, different salespeople who sell things on commission take at least 10% of the sales price of your item being sold. So at only 6% or whatever you negotiate for, you're getting the help of two different people, a buyer's agent and a seller's agent, plus their teams, plus their network of contacts, plus their years of experience in the industry, plus all of the paid subscriptions they have, all the time they put into learning the market, having distribution channels for marketing your home, having the proper paperwork in place, being able to negotiate effectively on your home. You're not just paying for the agent's time on your transaction. You're paying for all of this network and plugging into that network that they offer you through their services. And all of the money does not go to the person that helped you. They, again, are paying fees, memberships, dues, licensure requirements, ongoing continuing education requirements, working with their brokerage, their firm, to be able to do this work. So as much as you might say, well, they didn't do anything and they made a lot of money, most real estate agents keep less than half of what they make from a commission, and what you see as the commission, less than half of that goes into their pocket, and they're a 1099 contractor, so they may be paying up to 30% of that out of pocket for income taxes, state taxes, errors and omissions insurance. It goes on and on. So while you might be writing a check, you're tapping into a lot of different people to help you with a lot of years of experience. And I understand that you want to put the most money in your pocket possible. Like everyone who has ever talked to me about listing their home has certainly said that that was the case. You want to be successful not only in putting the money in your pocket, but also in getting your home sold. And if you're too cheap, and I was an investor and I was a cheap investor and I paid the price. Now I work with teams, I pay experts, I function at a much higher level because I am not trying to do everything myself. I remember I had a rental property. It didn't look good. I cleaned it myself. The tenant was moving in. She said, "Emily, I thought you were going to have this cleaned." I said, "I did clean it. I spent all weekend cleaning it." She said, "It looks terrible. You should have paid somebody to clean it." And I ended up paying her $300 to have a professional cleaner come through and do the work that I did poorly. So I'm not saying that you are poor at cleaning your house, but there are some things that, given time constraints, given health constraints, we just don't necessarily have the time to do. We may not know how to do well. We may just be kind of shooting ourselves in the foot, trying to be cheap instead of investing in a successful path to the result we want. So let's look again at the numbers here. A study by Zillow said that only 11% of sellers actually succeeded at selling their home for sale by owner. A 2022 report by the National Association of Realtors showed only 7% of recent home sales were for sale by owner, which is an all-time low that matched the 2021 performance. And that average actually sinks down to 3% in urban areas like Seattle, Bellevue, and Everett. Most of the people who are successful in doing this know the person that they're selling it to in over half of cases, and sell for less than the median price for FSBOs is lower than the median price for properties listed with realtors. In addition, when you advertise your home as a FSBO, you may find that you're getting a lot of calls from investors. When I was an investor, that was one of the lists of people that I called: for sale by owner, for rent by owner. The thinking was, I was coached, these people do not know what they're doing. They do not know the market. They do not understand the paperwork. This is an opportunity to buy a property at less than market value. So when you don't have representation, people who are looking to get a good deal tend to migrate your way. You may have also found that a lot of real estate agents are calling you in order to get in and preview your property. In part, they want to preview their property. They may or may not have an active buyer. I mean, everybody has a database of buyers. They may or may not have the perfect one in mind for your home, but they certainly want to get in front of you. They certainly want to take your time, and they certainly want to see if you're interested in listing the property with them. So this can be a very time-consuming sideline activity. In addition to fielding calls from potential buyers, you're fielding calls from a lot of service people who are there to help you sell your home, which you may or may not appreciate. In looking at what for sale by owner people wished they knew before they listed their home, one of the points was for sale by owner homeowners did not realize that they would still end up paying some amount of commission in most cases, because oftentimes the buyers who will approach you, who are not not agents who want your listing and not investor buyers who want to get a cheap deal, the other category of people who may approach you is buyers who already have a real estate agent representing them. The vast majority, over 90% of buyers who approach you, will already have a real estate agent representing them. And Washington State actually is just making this a law that that real estate agent has to have a buyer's commission agreement signed with their buyer at the beginning of the process. So they can't even come out and shop with you. Even if they don't use their agent, they can't shop with you without owing this agent a commission. And typically buyers do not have the money to pay full price for the home and pay the agent's commission on top of that, because historically that's been paid by the homeowner, who's the one who's getting all of the cash. So you as the homeowner will be negotiated with, you'll be approached, you'll be requested to pay that agent's commission. And if you're not willing to do that, you may end up losing the deal and costing yourself that sale as well. Now, here's something that I want to share with you that I do differently than most other agents. I will not double dip on the commission to represent both a seller and a buyer. If you choose to hire me to help you sell your home, the only person you'll need to pay is me. I will not charge you that 2.5% to represent the buyer if we're able to attract an unrepresented buyer. You'll just pay me, and I will act as a transaction coordinator. You will save that half of the commission. You will not have to pay a buyer's agent fee. In addition, I won't represent them. They will not have someone negotiating on their behalf. They will be like a lamb in the woods, and we will do our negotiating from good intentions, but also to get you the best deal, because my job is to help you get the most money as possible in your pocket and more than cover the cost of my fee with the value that I provide and the cost savings I afford you, some of which may come in the form of not having to pay a buyer side commission. Of course, if the buyer is represented, his agent's commission will still be due and payable. And finally, I want to point out that by positioning your property correctly, by preparing it correctly, by promoting it correctly, and pricing it correctly, these are the 4 Ps I talk about in a lot of my other videos, you can actually maximize the profits on the sale of your home. So part of preparation that I actually will pay to do some of the work that needs done if necessary. If you need a professional cleaning, if you need a window washing, if you need gutters cleaned out, if you need power wash of the driveway, for every home, and it varies by the price range of the home, I do have a budgeted amount that I will invest into your property for you to help it look as good as possible when the first folks come through. If it needs more work than that, we can get those repairs financed so you don't have to pay them until the house sells. And one of the other places I like to invest is in professional staging for the home. This is bringing in furniture and knickknacks. It works best if the house is vacant and not occupied, but it really improves the look and feel of the home. And studies show homes that are professionally staged sell faster and for 3 to 6% more money than unstaged homes. So it's completely possible that with that step alone, I will more than save you the entire cost of my fee. Now, another concern that some people have when they choose to sell their homes themselves is that they like to be in control. And I get it. My grandmother was one of these people. She had a strong driver personality. She was used to running the show at work. She had her World War II generation. She had her master's degree. She had a job at the University of Washington. She wrote a book. She was speaking around the country, lecturing to other people about how they should teach better. And she was the president of every club she was in. She's an absolutely wonderful person, got all sorts of stuff done, signed up all the volunteers at church for various projects. They were voluntold, like, be here and get this done. So she was very effective, but a lot of that efficacy came from being in control of things. So if that sounds familiar, there's great news here, which is when we work together, you are always in control. I am your expert advisor. You're the boss. You're the decision maker. I'd love to remind you of that story of Henry Ford, where he was being confronted with all of these kind of silly questions. And he said he could answer any question that anybody would pose to him because, as he said, I have a row of electric push buttons on my desk. This was before the age of computers, but now we have computers. And by pushing the right button, I can summon to my aid men who can answer any question I desire to ask. And that's you. When you have a real estate agent on call working for you, you will have an expert at your fingertips. You can press the button and give me a call, send me a text, send me an email. I can answer any question. I can find out the answer if I don't know, and I will help you through any moments that get sticky when you'd like some advice about how to handle things moving forward. So when we work together, you'll still be in charge, but with the added benefit of my experience to guide you. Think of me as your partner, enhancing your control rather than taking it away. Now let's talk a little bit about marketing and positioning the home to other people. And you may be thinking, hey, Emily, there's the internet out here. We can do everything. We can post pictures. We can get it up on the MLS. We can do whatever we want to. It's the modern day and age. And as you well know, online tools are absolutely powerful. And I use them in conjunction with the types of marketing that you're talking about to get very strong presence out there on all of the relevant websites. Zillow, of course, Redfin, Realtor.com, houses. There are all sorts of hundreds, if not thousands, of sites where your home will be distributed once I get my hands on it. But in addition, we put paid marketing out there. In the old days, you would see these home magazines that would be out by the drugstore. You could take one for free and look at all the homes for sale. We had newspaper ads. You could see big ads in the Sunday paper with color pictures of beautiful luxury homes. This is the way that marketing was done in the past, and it's fairly anachronistic at this point. So what we've done instead is, as you say, we're going online, but we are paying to go online to make sure that your message gets in front of the most relevant people. We've been advertising for years. We've spent thousands of dollars on advertising. we've built audiences of people who are interested in all sorts of different properties. So we might have advertised a condo in the past. We might have advertised a luxury home in the past. And just like when you go Christmas shopping and you're looking at leather jackets, and then wherever you go on different websites, you see leather jackets for sale everywhere. You've been cookied. The internet knows what you're interested in, and now it's targeting you and trying to get you to buy that item. The same thing happens with home buyers who are in the market. Big data is tracking them. It knows exactly who they are. It knows where they live now. It knows where they want to live, and it's selling to them. As an individual homeowner, it's hard to take advantage of that. As a real estate professional, I make it my business to know exactly how to get that information and how to put your property in front of the people for whom it is most relevant. That's absolutely part of what we do every time we market a home. And the more we do it, the bigger our database grows, the more effective it is every time. Let's talk about positioning your home. Your home is a special unicorn. You have known this for years, and now you're ready to sell it, and you're looking for that other person who speaks unicorn and will recognize you and say, yes, I love your property so much. I'm willing to pay 10% more than what it's worth in the marketplace. Okay, I don't know if you're having that magical unicorn conversation in your head, but many sellers that I talk to, for sale by owner or not, tend to think that their home is worth a little bit more than the market value of the home. And I'm not sure if this is because online tools like automatic home estimates are skewing their perspective. Maybe their neighbor's home sold for more. It's hard for us to see our own shortcomings because we love our home. We would never want to live anywhere else. But here's exactly what happens. Last summer, I met with a potential client who spent 2 hours at the listing appointment trying to convince me that his $2 million home was actually worth $4 million because he had looked at $4 million homes at open houses, and he hadn't liked any of them as well as he liked his own home. He wasn't tempted to move into any of those $4 million homes. And I'm sorry to say that is not how market value of his home is going to be determined in real life. He was hoping that by replacing the stove in his small kitchen with a fancy $50,000 green stove, that it would really help increase the look and feel of the home without having to remodel the whole kitchen. And, he had some other ideas. He was an audiophile. He really liked listening to music. So he had set up the home stereo system to be very high end. And he was unsure of how to approach the sale of the home because he felt that it would be best positioned to other audiophiles who would fully appreciate the acoustic properties of the home and also want to pay $4 million to live in a $2 million property. That was all going to be difficult to highlight during an open house because they had to sit in a certain place for an extended period of time listening to the music to really get the full effect. So the guy had great salesmanship. He was very committed to his proposition, but even after 2 hours, he could not convince me to list the home at the price that he wanted to go forward on. And I feel like this is the hard reality that homeowners sometimes have to face, is that their home is not worth exactly what they think it is. And even with the best salesmanship, it can be hard to find that needle in the haystack buyer who's willing to pay more than the value of the property. On the other hand, I just represented someone who is in that situation, who is doing a rent to own on a property. So he was willing to pay a little bit of a premium price on the home because he had the opportunity to rent it for months before having to buy, which helped facilitate his move between his old house and the new house. So if you're willing to do something like offering some terms or some owner financing, you may be able to sell at a premium, and that's something that I can help facilitate and negotiate for you as well. Finally, I want to point out that everything doesn't necessarily come down to the price that the property goes under contract for. There's a lot of other work that needs to be done, including negotiations. So we negotiate multiple times, at least once with the buyer before they put the property under contract, and again when the buyer does his inspection, which can be an opportunity to potentially lose thousands of dollars off the purchase price because you get those nibbles, right? They have the inspection and they find things wrong with the home. We can sometimes head that off by having an inspection of the property done by us before we ever put the property on the market, so you know what's wrong with the home. You can disclose those things to the buyer. You can fix those things if you like, and you can make sure that they're not a surprise, giving the buyer a basis for retrading after he's already agreed on a price. Having an effective negotiator on your team can be invaluable, especially when things go wrong. My sister is actually an attorney, and when she was in law school at UW, she took a negotiating class, and we just were thrilled discussing this class. They would usually each get a card, and they would say, here's your situation. You're selling a car, for example. You accept this price for the car. You need to be in Toledo by Tuesday, and it's got old tires on it, that kind of a thing. And then somebody else would have a different situation. You're looking for a first car for your child who's learning to drive. Here's the price range that you're willing to. Anyway, what she found was fascinating. She was almost always willing to max out whatever was on her card, because as soon as the other party got into the acceptable window, they would shake hands and make the deal. For whatever reason in our culture, there's not a lot of negotiating, and people like to come to agreement. They like to be on the same page. So having a realtor who is effective at negotiating is unusual, and you can sometimes be very aggressive with your negotiating while still maintaining absolute integrity, doing what is right for your client. And it's a lot easier to do as an agent because you have the removed authority of, I'll have to check with the owner of the property first. I'm sorry, I can't agree to that. So you can extract all of the information, you can think about things, you can gather market knowledge, you can talk with the client, and you can make a strategy together about how you want to handle the situation, whether it's accepting the offer as is, making a contingent acceptance on the offer, or negotiating and countering with something different altogether. You can go back and forth in a number of ways to really try to make it a win-win for everybody, but make sure that you are maxing out your wins on your side as much as possible. And the last thing I want to share is the possibility that you may have had a negative experience with a real estate agent in the past. And unfortunately, not all real estate agents are created equal. We are independent contractors. We can finish our licensure requirements in a matter of weeks. And once we get out there working, we can pretty much hang up our shingle with very minimal supervision. So just because someone is a licensed real estate agent, you have no idea what their level of experience or success has been in the industry. One of the biggest complaints that clients have about their real estate agents is a lack of communication. People feel like their home is listed and then the agent disappears and they don't know what's going on. That's why I have a commitment to my clients to communicate with them weekly so that we are always on the same page. We review showing activity. We review feedback from any showings that we've been able to glean, and we discuss strategy. Do we stay the course with what we're doing? Do we change anything condition-wise at the property? Do we change anything price-wise? How motivated are we to get things sold? We evaluate that. So having that outside person to provide that feedback and collect that information without having it take all of your time, weekend showings, evening showings, can be very stressful. And having someone to do it at a remove, an emotional remove, and an hours removed, so that it's not you doing all the work, sometimes is a huge relief after having your property on the market for weeks or months on your own. So I hope this video has been very informative to you about my philosophy for selling property. You need to make the property look great. You need to put your presentation together that really communicates all the information that buyers could possibly want. The more information, the better. That way people don't feel like you're hiding something. You promote. Open houses, door knockings, mailings, online, other agents, buyers lists. Got to get the property out there and price it correctly so that you know what's going on with the house. May or may not have to do with the price. If you're not getting it sold, things might need to be adjusted. Let's talk. If there's anything that I can do to help you, whether it's to give you tips on staying the course with your for sale by owner strategy, or whether it's to explore the possibility of listing your home with me, I'm here to help. I have 20 years experience in the real estate industry, first as an investor, buying single family homes, renting them out, buying apartment buildings, renting them out, buying land, buying commercial property. I have been through it all. I have seen a lot of different things, from negotiating with a tenant who hasn't paid, to evicting folks, to negotiating with a dry cleaner who might be contaminating your shopping center, right? There are all sorts of different things that happen, and being able to handle those problems emotionally and strategically is an important part of seeing a real estate transaction all the way through from A to Z. So I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. I'd love to be your real estate agent. Let me know how I can help, and I'll see you on the next video.